Good morning, teachers. Very warm welcome to the session. So, we will going to start the session, and here with us Dr. Albert Ryan. So, Dr. Albert Ryan is an academic English language teaching professional, teacher trainer, media critic, and education columnist. He had his education at St. Joseph College, Tiruchi, and at the Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, Hyderabad. He has an certificate course Dr. Ryan column English Blues to edX, a higher education supplement with the New Indian Express. As columnist since May 2006, he has contributed over 750 articles on the nuisance of English language and English language teaching in India. The New Indian Express has published the complications of Dr. Ryan's weekly column as books. He also contributed lead articles on education and the column Wide Angle to the Hindu Education Plus. As an ELT resource person, he has conducted numerous ELT workshops and trained over 5,000 teachers in India. As a resource person, he conducts workshops on critical thinking, critical pedagogy, creative writing, media education, social media and education, etc. So, very warm welcome, Dr. Ryan.
Thank you.
So, over to you.
Good morning, teachers. I think around 400 teachers are attending this program, and the topic is quite interesting and relevant. That's online management, online classroom management. I'll be spending about 90 minutes with you. That's an hour and a half. The first 75 minutes, I'll explain certain concepts and highlights the problems or challenges that teachers face while conducting session online. And I'll also give you some tips. In fact, I wanted the session to be quite interactive. Unfortunately, it is not possible because the number is quite big. It's around 400, 350 to 400 teachers. If the number is around 50 to 60, then I would ask the organizers not to mute any participant so that the session will be interactive. In fact, it should be like this. Anyhow, we need to, just since it is for the whole group of Zion group of schools, that's fine. It's about 75 minutes. I request the participants when I raise certain questions to use the YouTube like chat form that you can send your questions and answers to certain questions also. Or this is online classroom management. How is it different from ordinary, like just physical classroom management? I'll explain it. Now, this is the agenda. I'll give a brief introduction about online classroom management, and I'll explain the difference between physical classroom versus a physical classroom and virtual classroom. I do not want to use the term traditional classroom. Traditional classroom, if I use the term, then this one becomes a modern classroom. In fact, these two are different. Though, so I would like to use the term physical classroom throughout my session. The third point is I'll raise a few brainstorming questions, and I request the participants to give your or like just register your answers using the forum there, chat forum. The fourth point, virtual classroom management. What challenges do we face? I don't want to call them problems, rather challenges, because the problem is a negative term, challenges are quite a positive term. And virtual classroom management, I'll give you some tips based on the teacher, like, this worldwide now, the teachers are engaged in online teaching, and they have suggested some concrete solutions and useful, they have given useful tips, which I'll discuss it. The virtual classroom characteristics of effective teachers. Most teachers are very effective in the physical classroom, but when it comes to online, how effective they are, that's a question. Words of wisdom from great educators, whether it is physical classroom or online classroom. Certain concepts are very common, like we need to follow such principles. Then we will have question and answer for 15 minutes. Then I'll give my last word. Introduction. This is the coronavirus pandemic and the education sector. All of a sudden, we had to move from physical classroom to the virtual classroom. The physical classroom, you were quite comfortable because you were trained there when you were students. When you were students, your teacher stood in front of you and explained everything. The concept of online teaching was not there some 15 or 20 years ago. Now we have, all of a sudden, we have moved from physical classroom to virtual classroom, and we were not prepared actually. By 17th, no, last year, on this year, so by 15th March, educational institutions were closed, and teachers didn't know what to do. Then the concept of virtual or e-learning came, like, just teachers were asked to teach students online, and neither teachers nor students were trained. If they had been trained, if they had received proper training, the situation would have been different. Across the globe, teachers and students have faced this problem, the classroom management problem. Teachers, like, they have raised a number of questions, but these are all just challenges, not problems, I would say. The rise of e-learning, remote teaching on digital platforms. These days we talk about Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, so many other digital platforms. Fortunately, most teachers have uh, acquired the skills, learned how to use the digital platforms effectively, but there are some teachers who still struggle. Now, coming to the next point, that's a reshaping education. I said that it all happened all of a sudden, not planned. But we are in the 21st century. Everything happens online. Everything happens online. Online shopping, and after the demonetization in India, most people have just started shopping online. This is also like, now we need to reshape education. It is going to stay. Online education is not, it's going to stay. Even after a year or two, the coronavirus pandemic will be over, and we will have to have the blended learning. Traditional, the physical classroom plus online teaching will be there, since we have been introduced to that. So as teachers, we need to prepare ourselves to face the challenges. That's like connecting to the needs of Gen Z, Generation Z, like the present generation, the young learners, those who are born after 2000, like, they are quite comfortable using online tools, computer, laptops, and they are on social media. So next one is how effective is online teaching. This is what I'm going to do, like, just this brief introduction. You are already into online teaching, e-learning, okay, e-teaching takes place. Now, what is the difference between physical classroom and virtual classroom? This is what we need to know. Like, the class timings have changed, drastically changed. Like, students used to board the bus at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7:30 in the morning, and be in the campus at 8:30, and everything is timetabled. Classes start, assembly starts, and 8:30, 9 o'clock. The students have then they have 7 or 8 periods. Now it is different. Class timings are different, and students need not get ready but uh, some teachers, some schools insist on uniform and other aspects. I'll talk about the discipline aspect later. The teaching methodology, has it changed? It should change, because teaching online is different from teaching face to face in the physical classroom. So I'll talk about the teaching methodology. If we haven't changed it, the problem is with the teacher, not with learners or with students. Evaluation methods have changed. How we assess whether students have learned. What type of tests do we give our students? The next important point is student behavior. Now, I sit in front of the system and speak without knowing, there's how many participants are there. You all follow on YouTube. 2 days ago, I addressed a group of teachers in Nepal. That was quite an interactive session because the number of teachers was small. So I asked a question, and then immediately I could get a reply, and I could see how interactive they were, whether they're all active. I could assess it. Now the student behavior, I've been like for the past 10 months interacting with teachers and students to assess how effective online teaching is. Some positive feedback and some negative feedback I got. The difference between teaching and learning. What is the difference? We teach, but do students learn? That's a question. Always, some teachers are proud of saying, I have taught well, I have covered the syllabus, I have completed the syllabus. But has learning taken place? Online teaching, the same. We have delivered the content, we have delivered the material. Has learning taken place? This is very important. So, there have been so many changes, but I have just given the 5 important one. How we are going to manage the classroom, virtual classroom, that we will say later. So the physical classroom versus traditional classroom, if you take it, classes are typically teacher driven and teacher centric. In the physical classroom, teacher decides everything. Not It's not a democratic system in many schools, and teacher decides. Whereas in the virtual classroom, classes can be technology driven. It's not teacher driven, rather it is technology driven, and it is learner centric. It should be learner centric. If it becomes teacher centric again, then learning doesn't take place. With the teacher as a facilitator, teacher is only a facilitator. Teachers have better teaching tools to effectively engage learners now, because they can use any mode, just they use video, audio, and then give some interesting assignment to the students. They can ask students to watch videos on YouTube. Like that, many interesting things can happen. The traditional teaching tools are used, such as lecture notes, charts, blackboard writing, showing physical models, laboratory experiments, etc. This is what we have been doing for years or for decades. When we were students, we had the same, and when we became teachers, we did till March 15. So modern teaching tools are used now, such as multimedia, animation, 3D modeling, virtual, etc. So the changes have whether the changes have positively or negatively affected our students. If the impact is positive, then it's great. If the impact is negative, then we need to question ourselves. Learning environment can be dull and fun in class. That's in traditional class or physical class. Uh, Here, in the learning environment can be stimulating and fun, because I talked about, when we talk about the characteristics of Gen Z learners, they are comfortable with technology. They learning styles are different. Okay, so the moderation tools allow the teacher to easily control the class just in case things get out of hand. Evaluation, how we test the students and handling in manually created assignments. Okay, there are many other things here. Automated evaluation. Now you give them a question and the system can evaluate and then give the answer. Results are quick, accurate, and completely transparent. These are all certain advantages. And class is held like in the traditional physical classroom. Class is held, and if a student is absent on a particular day, he misses the class, and he can't go back and watch what the teacher said, what the teacher taught in the class. Whereas here, classes are recorded, including video, audio, everything is available. Students can review the teacher's explanation. And common distractions include breaks, and they here also common here the common in the distractions or in the virtual classroom, internet problems and lack of interaction. There are positives and negatives. I'm not saying physical classroom has a lot of negatives. No, that's not the point that I'm making. Whereas the virtual classrooms, teachers have been saying online teaching is not effective, virtual teaching is not effective, but that's not true. There are many positives, and even classroom management can be done effectively, which I'll explain later. Now let's do some brainstorming. Like, there's brainstorming questions. I'll pose some 8 brainstorming questions for which you can post your answers using the YouTube chat form. Okay, do you want your students to maintain silence during online classes? Why? Do you want students to maintain silence during online classes? Why? As we know, we teachers like the word silence. We all like the word silence because if students maintain silence, we are happy because we think students listen to us. What is your definition of discipline? The question number 1 and question number 2. What is your definition of discipline? Based on your definition only, I can explain, like, just what we expect our students, what we expect from our students. You can use your chat, like, YouTube, or you can send your answers. I'll give you a minute for each or a couple of minutes. You can send your questions, sorry, answers. I'm watching it in another laptop, just what you have sent.
Teachers, you can send your answer in the live chat box.
Okay, I just want you teachers to think, because it's not just listening. Passive listening doesn't really help us. We need to be active. When I say brainstorming, though it is not practically possible to brainstorm as a group, you can send your answers in a word or two. It need not be complete sentences. Okay. Then what is your definition of discipline? We all have, like, the school management has its own definition of discipline. Teachers, each teacher has his or her own definition of discipline. And what is your definition of discipline? Next, when we talk about silence, like, just when we talk about silence, like, I just hear, but they can take turns to answer. Okay, just there are so many answers you have given. Uh, yes, sir, class should be interactive, and do not disturb others. Okay. Um Maintaining the same decorum that we're doing in our class. So many answers are coming. I'm quite glad that you are quite active. Let me just move on to the next slide. Uh, Productive versus silence versus unproductive silence. This is what is very important. Like, Now, if it's a productive silence, students listen to the teacher, they're attentive, they learning takes place. It's a productive silence. But in most classes, I'm not talking about any particular group of schools, but in many schools, I say that unproductive silence is also there. It's out of fear. Students pretend to be active, pretend to be attentive, but learning doesn't take place. Most teachers, even in traditional, like physical classroom, we say, when I teach, I heard a teacher say this just 3 days ago. When I teach, almost all students are silent. Then I ask her the next question: is it out of fear, or out of respect, or out of interest? If it's interest, the lesson is interesting, the students listen, learning takes place, that's out of interest. If it's that is productive silence. If it's unproductive silence, it's out of fear. Okay, so next, very interesting question. Next one: is it possible to make our virtual classroom more pleasant and rewarding? How? Is it possible to make our virtual classroom, that's online teaching, more pleasant and rewarding? These two adjectives, pleasant and rewarding. Pleasant is a positive term, like they enjoy it. Students enjoy listening to your classes. And rewarding means learning has taken place, and at the end of the day, they say, I have learned something. Can you just post your answers? I can find answers here. Is it possible to make virtual classroom more pleasant and rewarding? What Sankit Shri Shai says, we don't have eye contact. What do you mean? We don't have eye. By avoiding lecture method, we can make it more okay. By avoiding lecture method, we can make it more pleasant. Okay. Good morning, sir. But where is the answer? Yes, JNT PRT says, yes, it is possible, but how? When we say yes, we can make, but using different methods of teaching or techniques. That's very important. By using different methods and taking, because in the physical classroom, you do not, you follow certain methods. But in the online teaching, you follow certain methods. So most teachers says, I'm very glad that they say, yes, definitely, yes, by giving some activities. And I would like to ask, like, just showing real-time example that Jayanti says that Annapurne following virtual CR norms like more audio when others talk, enable audio, video. Okay, great, by involving so many. Okay, fine. And I would say, like, is it possible to make our virtual classroom more pleasant and rewarding? It is possible. How? That is like, just we need to plan well. We need to plan our lessons well. When I talk about lesson planning, sometimes it may go like it may fit, but it doesn't matter. We may violate it. I always say a creative teacher is one who goes off the track in order to be on the track. At times it's good to go off the track. Okay, so if it is creative and involved, so teachers need to be creative and teachers must be involved, like just engage like this by interacting with the kids and using innovative methods. Fine, that's good. So many interesting answers. Next one: which traditional classroom management strategies can we apply in the virtual classroom? Virtual physical classroom is different from virtual classroom, but which traditional classroom management or physical classroom management strategies can we apply in the virtual classroom? Are we going to say silence please? Are we going to say that? Or are we going to say apply any other, like just, are you going to shout at the students? Are you going to send them out of the class? Here it is not possible. You cannot just say get out of the class, stand up, stand on the bench. No, we cannot do that. So which traditional classroom or physical classroom management strategies can we apply in the virtual classroom? Can you please post answers? Blackboard writing, what do you mean? Celia Philomen, you have written blackboard writing. I'm talking about asking about physical classroom management strategies. Interactive quizzes and quizzing the children. Okay. So which traditional classroom management strategies can we apply in the virtual classroom? There are certain traditional management strategies which are very, very useful to us. Okay. Interaction is very, very important, whether it is in the traditional classroom or in the virtual classroom. So I mean the physical and virtual interaction is very important. Just that you have 40 or 50 students in your class, there must be around 40 students in your class. When you teach, do you ask all the students to uh, mute or unmute? Or do you ask the students to uh, show their video, okay, to they know the presence? Okay, there are certain strategies like, interaction is very, very important. But the teachers need to use polite and polished language that I'll talk about it. Which management character strategies we can use, I'll discuss it later, but this is a very important question. The next one, asking questions and quizzing, being interactive, asking questions. Yeah, that's good. So many teachers have written like, just asking students questions, making it interactive. I also said the same. Okay, next one. What teaching styles and methods can we use to be effective in our online lessons? I'm talking about the virtual classes. What teaching styles and methods can we use to be effective in our online lessons? Teaching styles and methods. Please remember, physical classroom teaching styles, physical teaching styles and methods in the physical classroom are different from teaching styles and methods we use in the online classes. So, what teaching styles and methods can we use to be effective in our online lessons? Activity, what type of activities? Angelina Priscilla says activity, and Pradeepa says it's PPT. Okay, PPT is a very effective one. You can also show them videos. You can play an audio file. You can conduct like an online quizzes, which you cannot do in a physical classroom. There are so many things. You need to have different methods. One important thing here is teachers need to be trained. So they are saying mind mapping, virtual blackboard. We can use other teaching aids like flashcards, real objects, PPT, PowerPoint. So many teachers say PPT. Yeah, as I'm using PPT now, I'm also asking you to give your feedback, respond to me. Okay, though I prefer like just allow you to speak, but there's so many responses I get. It's a game-based learning. Okay, so it's very important. First, what you need to understand is that is teaching styles and methods used in a physical classroom is different from teaching styles and methods used in online lessons, and in that way it could be more rewarding, more beneficial to the student. Let's move on to the what problems have we encountered while teaching online. Now, this is the challenges. I use the word problems because many teachers use the word problems, but challenges. What challenges have we encountered while teaching online? Have we found any solutions to the problems that we have encountered? So you can, there are two questions here. Okay. What problems have you encountered while teaching online and have you found any solution? Can you just post your challenges that you have encountered, experienced, faced? Answer the first part of the question number 6. challenges that we have faced. Network issue, network problem, okay, fine. Celine, Mary, Beulah, Sam, they all talk about network. Students not responding immediately. Poor response from students. Poor, okay. Then network issues from teacher and students, network. Today here I face power cut problems, and since my laptop is fully charged, thank you, that's good. Uh, Chorus answers, personal inquiry, chorus, network, okay. So mostly like the problem is network. When it comes to behavior, network is a technical problem. Technical problem. There are so many, like, just three types of problem. One is technical problem. The other one is resource problem. Resource, the teacher doesn't give clear instructions to the students, and students do not understand. Or the third one is behavioral problems. Parents disturb the students online, like one teacher says, Anuradha says, that parents disturb the students. That also I have seen it. I have many teachers have told me, like, students must be like my son is a student of engineering, and he is in a separate room and we don't disturb him. Once by mistake I opened the door and then he said it's a disturbance for him. Okay, that's the thing. We feel sometimes guilty. What do you mean by that? Not able to bring up the slow. Okay, some teachers have used the word slow learners. I would like to mention the, like, state here that the concept of slow learners doesn't exist. Like, no one should be branded as slow learner or fast learner. Their learning styles are different. They have certain problems that we need to understand and change our teaching methodology. Okay, have we found any solution to the problem that we have encountered? You have been teaching for about 8 months, or some have been teaching for 6 months. And have you, like you have stated certain challenges, have you found any solution to the problem that you have encountered? Any solution? Renuka says we can't pay attention to slow learners. I said, okay. Uh, Children get excited to answer in groups. That's okay. That's good thing actually. Hmm. Of course, yes. Then, have we found any solution to the problems? Distraction at home. That's a problem. That's a appreciation by stars. Okay, appreciation. We need to appreciate by giving. Okay, that's giving rewards. Okay, children use browse from Google answers. Okay, you just tell the students to Google and find the answer. Okay, fine. Then more games were introduced to grab children's attention. Yeah, some interesting activities, and involving students. Okay, games. Asking students by calling out their names. That's good. That's also very important. Okay. Any other? Okay, there are many ways of addressing this issue, like finding, like, just trying to find solution. One important thing is teachers need to be creative. Teachers need to be creative and involve everyone. Towards the end of the session, like in the last 15 minutes, I'll be speaking about the tips and what the teachers can do. Whatever the like the questions I have raised, you will find answers there. Okay, next one. What solutions have we found to the problem? That's okay, fine. Then what have we learned from our virtual management, classroom management experience? You have been teaching for 8 months or 6 months. You need to write down, like, the challenges that you faced, solution that you yourself found, and your own experience, what you have learned from that, and how you can make it a better, create a better learning environment for your students. Okay, next. This is an interesting one. Like, just you need to just state whether the following statements are true or false, and if possible you can also justify the answer. If you say true, you can justify it, or if it's a false, you can give your answers. The first one is teaching in a physical classroom is easier than teaching in a virtual classroom. Is it true or false? Teaching in a physical classroom is easier than teaching in a virtual classroom. Nobody has started answering the question. Hi, Senthil Kumar Sugasi. The first one, I just want answer to the first one. Teaching in a physical classroom is easier than teaching in a virtual classroom. Many teachers say that true, like true, Rufina Mary, Shiba Grace, false. Okay, I hear some false. Okay, the answer is next true, false, yes, no. Okay, some teachers there is a, like I cannot say which one because the answers vary. It depends on the teacher, depends on your training, depends on your knowledge of or okay technical knowledge, skills. Okay, so you have experienced both. You have taught in the physical classroom and you have taught online too. So teaching in a physical classroom is easier than teaching in a virtual classroom. Some say yes and some say no. And since I have experienced both, I would say, like, for me, uh, physical classroom, I'm more comfortable there. But I'm slowly coming out, like, now since I have conducted so many sessions, I have also taught online. I found it quite interesting. I find it quite interesting and it is going to stay. Okay. And nobody has justified the answer. Continuous questioning, eye contact. Okay, because they say, why they say, because eye contact is also very important. When the students are there, it's easier, the students are present, and face-to-face interaction, really, okay. Uh, it is easier actually, and virtual classroom should become easier because it is going to stay. Like online teaching will be in the 21st century, even after the COVID is over, the pandemic is over, then we will be spending, like in many schools, already they have given suggestion to the Ministry of Education that it should be blended learning. Students will spend 2 hours in the classroom and 4 hours online, or three. They have given this suggestion, and recently I conducted a survey to write an article in the Hindu. When I conducted it, like just some teachers have suggested this. We will have like morning students will spend in the classroom with the teacher, and in the afternoon they will have online teaching. So many suggestions have been given, but like in the future it will be the new normal. Okay, teaching in a physical classroom is more effective than teaching in a virtual classroom. The second question, what is your answer? Teaching in a physical classroom is more effective than teaching in a virtual classroom. Answers, please. True. Yes. Okay, again, it all depends on the our goals, objectives. Okay, what we really want to assess, it depends on that. Okay, so um, it should be like more effective. But studies research shows that online teaching is more effective than uh, teaching in a physical classroom, because students have access to the internet, because they can get material online, they can record. There are many advantages. Students point of view, online teaching is more effective, like, but research, the study, we need to carry out research in this area. We cannot come to a logic, any conclusion that which one is better. Okay, but after 5 or 10 years, as I said earlier, we will have blended learning, like online plus physical. Is it easier to manage students in a physical classroom than in a it is easier to manage students in a physical classroom than in a virtual classroom. Question number three. I'll just please write your answer true or false plus give your justification too. I'll be happy if you can justify it too. Give your justification too. True, sir. For primary, it's difficult. True. Question number three. True. Okay. It all depends on how we define the term. It depends on how we define the term discipline, management. Like just ultimately, learning should take place. Which is more important, learning or discipline? If we get answer to this question, things will be easier. Okay, so it's easier to manage students in a physical classroom than in a virtual classroom. Most teachers say it's true. They say it's true. It's true. But why? It's why. Virtual classroom or at a higher level, it will be easier. In the primary level, it may be difficult because it's difficult to control the students, distractions and other things are there. But how we motivate the students, creating a thirst in them to learn, uh, that is how, like we can make it more manageable. Okay. The fourth one, the Anu Alfred says we can make it pleasant by making it an interactive session. Okay. If you make it interactive, classroom management will be much easier. That I do agree with you. I'll, in the form of tips, I'll give that one. Interaction is very important. We need to make it very interactive. The fourth one, it's difficult for teachers to monitor students' behavior and check whether they are really attentive. Is it difficult for teachers to monitor students' behavior and check whether they are really attentive? Question number four. Can can you give your answers, some of you? Okay. Even if you interact, some students will remain. True, sir, because at most times some students' cameras tend to be off, which makes it difficult for the teacher to monitor what the student is up to. Okay, fine. There are so many answers coming. I'm very glad that teachers are quite interactive. They respond very positively, and it's difficult at times. It's difficult at times. That's why online class in a classroom like this, there are certain programs like 5,000. I have addressed 5,000 teachers. Okay, that's a different one, but I cannot see all the faces. Here, 400 teachers, I cannot see all your faces. But in a class of 30 or 40 or even 50, we can see the students, monitor them. It is possible. It is possible. And if the number goes up, then it is going to be a rather difficult one. Even if the number goes up, there are solutions to this challenge. What type of activities you give them? For example, assignment. Students have to listen to your lecture or your teaching, then they have to answer some creative questions. Then they are forced to listen to you. But the force is not a correct word, it's a negative term, but they have to attain that one. Okay, so you need to give creative assignments, creative tasks to the students. That's one way of managing virtual classes properly. Okay, interaction between teacher and students is difficult in the online classroom. Question number five, is it difficult? False. Renuka says it's false, and others. Interaction between teacher and students is difficult in the online classroom. Any other answers? Question number five. Comparatively, interaction is better than earlier time. Okay, fine. That's a very good answer. With appropriate tasks in physical, okay. Hmm. Not at all. Not at all. No, sir. No, sir. False. Okay. So interaction between teacher and students is not at all difficult in the online classroom. As I said earlier, if the strength is just 30 and 40, 30 or 40 or even 50, we can make it more very interactive. Even now it is interactive because you are giving your answers using the chat forum. That's fine. There is another advantage. I don't know whether you have done it, like breakup groups. You can divide students into groups and they can work on a particular project, like in a you have 40 minutes or 35 minutes class, 15 minutes they can work in different teams. A certain uh, online platform allows that, like breakup groups you can create and do it. So interaction is not very difficult. Interaction is not difficult at all in the online classroom we can make it very interactive. If we make it very interactive, it is quite manageable too. Sixth one, teachers will be able to manage the online class effectively by giving uh, aids, proper instructions to students, clear instructions to students. This is a very important one. Yes, uh, everybody will agree that teachers will be able to manage the online classroom effectively by giving clear instructions to students. This is one thing very important for teachers. If you want to manage online classroom effectively, give clear instructions to your students. By giving clear instructions, you will be doing wonders in the, you will be able to do justice to your teaching. Next, 7 to 12 statements. I won't spend much time on that. The seventh one, teachers will be able to manage the online class effectively by giving creative assignments to students. Can you respond to the seventh statement, whether it is true or false, and how you can just, what type of creative assignments you can give your students? True, true. Good morning, sir. Lily, yes, sir. It depends on the individual teacher. That's true. Everything depends on the individual teacher. Yeah. Almost everyone who has responded says true. And what type of creative assignments are we going to give students? The type of assignments we give them should make them listen to the teacher and follow the lecture, follow the teaching material. Okay, whatever creative, the materials that we use in the classroom, they have to do it. So here the teachers need to be creative. By being creative, they can give creative assignments to students. Thinking skills, they should develop their thinking skills, problem solving questions, and many other interesting activities that we can give. Eighth one, teachers who are not well equipped with online classes cannot motivate and engage students properly. That's a very, that's a true statement. Okay, you need to be well equipped. You need to be trained how to use technology, how to integrate technology into your teaching. Integrating technology into teaching is very important. If any teacher struggles to use technology to her advantage, then she will find it difficult to motivate and engage students properly. And training is required. Training these days, like just you need not you get help from your own relatives at home. Your own children can help you better. Okay, this is how many teachers have learned. In one of the articles that I wrote to the Hindu about 3 months ago, I just shared the experiences of teachers, how they became, have become tech savvy. Okay, so teachers need to be well equipped with the online classes. They should know how to use technology. They should know how to integrate technology into teaching. This helps them motivate and engage students properly. Okay, fine. Next, ninth statement. Students need to be digital literates in order to participate effectively in virtual class. Students need to be digital literates. Uh, Most students learn on their own. They are digital literates. You need not teach them. I have seen so many young children who use Zoom. Okay, nobody has taught them how to do it. Some parents have given some instruction. Okay, but they learned on their own. This is the advantage we have. Why I say online classes will be very successful, because our students are digital literates. Gen Z learners are digital literates. Okay, then a real teacher is different from a virtual teacher. 10th statement is a very important one. A real teacher is different from a virtual teacher in many ways. In what ways is a real teacher different from a virtual teacher? Can someone answer the question? Can some of you answer the questions? Question number 10. Please answer question number 10. Who is, okay, Tanuja says they are smart to learn. Okay, that's about the learners, I think. Okay. Question number 9. That's okay. Question number 10. Question number 10. A real teacher is different from a virtual teacher. Yes, I agree. Pauline says she agrees. In what way? Renika, yes. Others? All seem true only, sir. All seem true only, sir. Not all are true. There are some statements which are not okay. Here, a real teacher is different from a virtual teacher. What I mean is, a virtual teacher has certain characteristics or certain skills, acquired certain skills, because the teaching methodology changes. A real teacher in the sense, physically, like the teacher who teaches in the physical classroom. That's a definition. Virtual teacher, one who teaches online. Okay, they have certain skills. They possess certain skills. A teacher who is an expert, a virtual teacher using technology, can deliver the content effectively and will be able to manage online classrooms effectively. Okay, there are certain differences which I will explain when the time permits. Now let me move on to the 11th one. Students should be taught online etiquette, which will help them gain from online classes. Yes, online etiquette is very, very important. How they should behave when they sit in front of a camera, how they should behave, how they should talk. This is called online etiquette. Very important. All school management, all school, the teachers should teach their students how to behave properly. That is called etiquette, behaving properly. It is very important. Attention deficit of students is a major problem in online classes. One of the teachers told me, a teacher told me a few days ago, that attention deficit of students is a major problem in online classes. Is it true or false? Question number 12. Arvind says a teacher is a teacher. That's true. A teacher is a teacher. I also agree. But how different is a virtual teacher from a teacher who teaches in the physical classroom? That's the question. Question number 2. So true, sir. Attention deficit of students is a major problem. When someone says it's true, sir. Celine Mary says true. False. False. We cannot say like attention deficit of students is a major problem. Those studies says differently. It's very important, like attention deficit, uh, whether it is online or physical classroom, attention deficit is a problem everywhere. Okay, so students are not comfortable sitting in the classroom for like in morning 9 to 4. Their one advantage in the physical classroom, the advantage is they can talk, break monotony. Whereas in the physical class, in the virtual classroom, if the class is not interesting, students tend to disturb the class, and that's why it's good to have class only for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, then some activities. You need to break the monotony. Complete, like, lecture for 2 hours will not help. So in between, you need to have certain activities and to check whether they have learned properly. Attention deficit is a problem, whether it is in the physical classroom or in the virtual classroom. We need to have different activities. Okay, fine. These are the poor, like, just challenges that we face: poor internet access, lack of understanding and interactions, less monitoring. Sometimes students are involved in other activities and you cannot check whether they are playing PUBG or listening to you. They'll be using their mobile phone, but their face will be seen on the screen. Okay, time management is another issue. Conducting practical classes, these are challenges. These are some tips that I would like to give. Like, do not make the lessons too long. Do not make the lessons too long. Even if it's a 45-minute session, like, you should teach only for 25 minutes, then remaining 25 minutes, 20 minutes or 15 minutes for different activities and to check whether they have learned. That's why you give them creative activities, creative assignments to check whether they have really learned, whether they are able to, they have grasped what you have said. Introduce a break. It's good to have a break. Like, if it's 4 sessions in the morning, 45-minute duration, students need to have a break if it's an online session. Every 45 minutes or 1 hour, they need a break, at least for 5 to 10 minutes. Only then it will be effective, because various studies have shown, research, for adults it's different. For children, at least a 5-minute break is very important. If it's a 4-hour session, 9 to 1 or 9 to 12, 3 hour, they need a break after 5 minutes, after an hour or 45 minutes. Then make use of the chat forums, like, let the students use chats. What type of answers do they give? Because this is how they tell you that they have learned, they have understood what you have taught them. Get a full view of the students. That's very important. Full view of the students. Tell them that you are monitoring them, you are watching them, and screenshots. Certainly, online discussion should be more interactive than they are at present. Listen to your students and get their feedback. It's very important to get students' feedback also. This is what Dalai Lama says. It's a very important quote. When you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. Many teachers repeat what they already know. They talk. When you listen, you may learn something new. So when you allow students to speak and when you listen to them, you get feedback. Not only feedback, you also learn something new. That's why I have been insisting interaction is very important in online classes. By making them interactive, making the session interactive, you reduce distractions. Virtual classroom management tips. These are 7 tips which I will explain. We have another 15 minutes. We have another 15 minutes. So I'll explain some virtual management tips and then the characteristics of effective teachers and what we can learn from great educators. First thing is set your rules and expectations ahead of time. Students should know what rules they should follow, what they are expected to do. This is, you need to set your rules and expectations ahead of time. I'll explain that slide. Then establish a routine. Students should know, like, the classes start at 8:15 or 9:15. It will be over by 10 o'clock. During the session, the teacher will check what the assignments and talk about that. And towards the end, the teacher will give, okay, that's a routine. Deal with the discipline issues in the virtual classroom immediately and without any exceptions. That should be done. If any student misbehaves, you need to call the student personally, like, and just, it's possible, call them online, like, just do, and you need to address that issue. Include everyone and encourage questions. I'll explain, but friendly but firm. Let's move on to the first rule. Set your rules and expectations ahead of time. This is very important. Clear rules and expectations regarding student discipline, participation, the student process, deadlines, etc. This you need to tell them. If you give them assignment, when they are supposed to submit the assignment, how they are supposed to do the assignment, okay, so how they should behave, how they should participate in the online discussion, all these rules must be explained to them. If you do it during the session, it will not be effective. Before you start the online session, you need to have these rules ready. Then second one, be sure you present the rules in a positive way. Please use positive language. Teachers, when teachers use positive language, students imitate the teachers because teachers need to be good role models. Do not use negative sentences. For example, you say, do not interrupt your classmates. That's a negative sentence. Rather, you can say, please use the signal icon when you want to participate in the discussion or ask a question. Okay, you are using the word please and you are using positive terms there. All the rules need to be simple as possible, and it should be the rules must be easy to follow. Present your students with their duties and responsibilities. They should know their duties and they should know their responsibilities. Okay, and next, use polite and respectful language and eye contact when you speak to the students online. Look at the camera and then speak, because it's very important. Eye contact is very important. Even when they are, like, after they complete their studies, when they attend interviews, when they take part in group discussion, they should face people and then speak. So as teachers, you insist on that. And when you ask your students to speak, ask them to look at the camera and then speak. Eye contact is very important. Then insist on dress code also. And this is one way of disciplining them, because discuss with your students what is appropriate to wear during the live online session lessons. These days I come across a number of memes, how students dress and attend, take part in online classes. It's really disturbing. Okay, the type of memes that are put on social media, that are posted on social media, like, the students don't wear dress properly, and it affects their uh, attitude also. It helps them, like, if you insist on certain positive rules, it will be great. No distraction. Tell the students they should not use, for all phones should be muted because they have to use their laptop or computer. You need to have set of rules. If these rules are clear to the students, managing them will be easier. Establish a routine. That's what I said. Like, just don't go on changing it. If you say, for example, if you prefer to start a session by checking homework, do this every time. It's good to have a routine for both the beginning and the end of the online session. When you end your online session, you are going to give them an activity or assignment or homework, and you need to explain to them very clearly what you expect of them. Okay, establishing a routine helps students have clarity and they will behave properly. So be sure to follow the established routine to make the study process more effective. The third one, deal with the discipline issues in the virtual classroom immediately and without any exceptions. Keep a positive attitude and be respectful even when you have to correct an unacceptable behavior. There are some students who misbehave. They disturb the online class. But as a teacher, please keep a positive attitude and correct them properly. Okay, it's easy. It's recommended to talk to each other, to each student who breaks the rules privately after class, to encourage them to improve their behavior. It's easy to contact them these days, and instead of correcting them in the class, like when everyone is present, that may not work. Teachers need to be very sensitive these days. Include everyone and encourage discussion. In a class of 40, please, that's what, like in the chat form also, some teachers have mentioned it, asking questions. Please include everyone. Make sure every student participates in the lesson. Sometimes in a class of 40, not all 40 students will get a chance to speak. Breaking up groups and then giving them activity is also one way of engaging them. So encourage students to ask questions and to answer each other. Please, this is a very important thing. Ask them to encourage them to ask questions. This is one way of checking whether they have clearly understood what you have said, or they have whether learning has taken place. Include various teamwork projects and divide the students into groups working in different breakout rooms. Whether this is possible for the using, like, I don't know whether you have done it, breaking, dividing students into groups, the breakout rooms. In Zoom, it is possible, but I don't know whether you teachers have done that. Always be friendly and firm. Be friendly doesn't mean that you should be very lenient. Okay, create a delightful and friendly atmosphere in your virtual classroom with a vibrant mood, fresh content, and interesting activities. Activities should always be interesting. Use humor, crack jokes in the classroom, involve everyone, make students fall in love with your class. This is very important. So the content should always be fresh. Every time when you uh, conduct an online session, the content you need to prepare well. The content should be fresh. Don't crack the same jokes again to the same group. For a different group of students, you can do that one. Okay. A positive attitude is much more effective with students of all ages than punishment. Please don't punish them. Positive attitude use it. Okay. Um, it is, in general, students like teachers who are friendly but firm. Be friendly, but be firm. Okay. Be strict in the sense, be fair with them. Okay, praise your students. That's very important in online, especially virtual classroom. When a student gives an answer, correct answer, give positive feedback, praise them, and be confident and positive. And next, I'm just talking about some what great educators talk about classroom management. Great educators, some interesting quotes that you need to reflect on. Teacher management or classroom management, which is important. We always talk about classroom management, but as a teacher, you need to know how you should manage yourself. So it's a teacher that makes the difference, not the classroom. The first, if you want to become an effective classroom manager, whether it is in the physical classroom or in the virtual classroom, you are the one who makes the difference. It is the teacher who makes the difference, not the classroom. So it is up to you. A teacher with 20 years of experience may not be able to manage the class well, but a teacher with 2 years of experience uh, can be a better manager than a teacher with 20 years of experience. So the teacher makes the difference. It means you need to constantly ask yourself whether you are a good classroom manager. If you have the skills, give a pat on your back. If you lack the skills, please learn. The second one, this is a beautiful quote. You can just even take a screenshot and then use it. Managing classroom effectively. How do we do that? Classroom management is not tips and tricks. I can give so many tips and tricks based on what I have gather, listen to so many, based on my experience with other teachers and training programs. It's how we relate, how we speak, how we encourage, how we guide and care. Tips and tricks may not work. It all, human relationship is very important. How you relate with your students. Do you treat them as human beings, or do you treat them as objects? How do you speak to them? What type of language do you use? Do you really encourage them? Do you show that care, you have care for them? Just this is very important. So managing classroom effectively means building up human relationship. If the teacher, if the students like you, managing the classroom will be very smooth. I don't like the term discipline because it has negative connotation, but discipline has also a positive connotation. Like an effective teacher manages a classroom. If you are an effective teacher, you know how to manage a classroom. You know the problems, you know the challenges, and you find a solution yourself. It is based on experience by talking to other teachers, your colleagues, and discussing it with others. But you know better. Your experience counts. An ineffective teacher disciplines a classroom, giving punishment. Imposition. When I was a student, the word imposition was very popular. Like, write that 15 times, 20 times, 15 times. Waste of time. Learning didn't take place. Nothing did I learn. So, are you an effective teacher or an ineffective teacher? If you are an effective teacher, you know how to manage a classroom. That is building relationship with the students, how you speak to them, how you guide them, how you care for them. The number one problem in the classroom is not discipline. I have seen it. My 25 years of experience in the classroom in India and abroad. The number one problem in the classroom is not discipline. It is a lack of procedures and routines. If I don't plan my lessons well, if I don't have clear instructions, if I don't know how to assess their knowledge and skills, then I have a problem. So clarity is very important. What you are going to do in the classroom, what you are going to test, how you are going to test their knowledge. Okay, so if these things are clear, the procedures are clear, instructions are clear, and the routines are well established, then classroom management will be easier. This is one slide that I like very much. A child who cannot behave. If a child doesn't know how to read, we teach them. As teachers, we teach them how to read. If a child doesn't know how to swim, we teach. We send them to a coach or we teach them. If a child doesn't know how to multiply, we teach them mathematics, like we teach them. If a child doesn't know how to drive, we teach or we send them to a driving school. If a child doesn't know how to behave, do we teach or punish? We need to teach them. So do teach, don't punish. So that's why I said that discipline has a negative connotation. It carries the word along with it punishment. Punishment doesn't really help these days. So how we are going to teach, that's very important. We have another 3 minutes. In an effective classroom, students should not only know what they are doing. When you give them an assignment, when you give them a homework, they should know why they have to do it, why they should do it, and how they should do it. If that is explained to them well, then they become real thinkers. Good critical, we need to develop students' critical thinking. The four C's are very important: communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. We need to make them effective communicators. As teachers, we have the moral responsibility to do that. Collaborate, they should know, they should be good team players, they should know how to adjust, work in a team. Third one, they should be creative. We need to make them creative. And the fourth one is critical thinking. We need to develop their thinking skills. Whatever assignment, homework you gave, please tell them why you are giving them that. Let students ask the question why I should do it, how I should do it. So knowing what, why, and how will solve many problems. Right rules or right relationship, this I have already explained. Classroom management is not about having the right rules. So I insisted on making things clear, stating rules clearly. It's about having the right relationships. If your students like you, and you will be able to do wonders in the classroom, you will be able to manage the classroom, whether it is uh, physical or virtual. Please know your students. For all students to excel, Teachers must learn about them and connect with each of them. Please connect with each of your students. This is not just finding out how they learn, but it is about finding out who they are. Please know your students, know their background, how they learn. Try to spend a few minutes with your students, even if you are not meeting them face to face. So, how try to find out, because unfortunately now, since we are not meeting the students, we do not know their background. What problems they face, we do not know. By knowing the students, we will be able to manage the classroom, the virtual classroom effectively. The challenges, we don't get to decide whether we have challenging kids in our classes, but we can certainly decide how we respond to them. All of us have challenges. All students come with some problems, but as teachers, what responses we give, how we respond to different situations, that's very important. For it is not challenges, how we respond to the situation, how active and creative we are in the classroom as teachers. This is okay, like fostering student great teachers. I'll skip the slide, like just this is mainly about how we need to build relationship, rapport with the students, how to stimulate their intellectual development, how to engage, like fostering their engagement in the online class. Okay, so this I have already explained, but it's okay, fine. This is a classroom management. Use routines and rituals, increase self-esteem. That's fine. Okay.
Dr. Ryan, just want to make an announcement.
Please do that. Yeah.
Yeah, teachers, we have shared our attendance form in the live chat box, so kindly fill it for the e-certificates. It's there in the live chat box.
Now the time for questions and answer. If you have any question, you can post it online, and using that I'll be glad to respond to you. Any questions? We have 10 minutes for questions and answers. So now, okay. So, do you have any questions, teachers? Monica says a friendly relationship with students always helps us know them better. Very good. That's very important. Like, to manage the classroom effectively, this is very, very important. I'm waiting for questions, but everyone is saying is thank you, thank you, thank you so much, and that's fine. Merlin Shiba, thank you, sir. But any question, any challenge that you face while teaching online, and whether you're not sure how you can find a solution to the problem? Teachers need to write a diary of their online teaching experience. That really helps them become a reflective teachers. This is what we insist on these days: reflective teaching. If you become a reflective teacher, in the future you will become a very successful teacher. Your teaching will be liked. So far no questions, Sarajit. Everyone says thank you, sir. Fatima, it was a wonderful
Teachers,
session.
if there is any query or you want to ask something, you can type it in the live chat box.
No, I'm just watching it, like I'm seeing it. I'm using another system and then seeing. If there is no question, it
Uh,
means
I
everything
think,
is clear, everything
yeah,
is clear, or nothing is clear.
yes. So it was a wonderful session, sir. So I
Thank you.
think we can end the session now. So I think teachers, I think, yeah, there are some questions there, sir. With Anita J. Sometimes when we call the names of the students, they immediately go out of the class. What can be done, sir?
No, actually, if it's an online, that's in an online, it's a virtual classroom, there shouldn't be 30 or 40 teachers like students. Maximum, I would say the number is 40. Uh, Calling them names, like, just like call out the names, sometimes will not work. Like the students are not ready. You can ask any volunteer, would you like to answer the question, like, then you can say, uh, then it's okay. If you build a good rapport with the students, your relationship with the students is good. Even if you ask them to answer, they will take it lightly. That's why I insist on relationship rapport. Okay. You are sometimes it's embarrassing when you call up the name of someone and ask the person to give answer to a certain question. It will be embarrassing. It is embarrassing because the students haven't really understood your intention. So establish a good rapport with the students. After that, like, just try to find out if you call out the names, and then whether they feel embarrassed or they feel happy. That's why giving their feedback is also important. You need to understand the psyche of the students. It's always not good, and sometimes it works well, because I am very close to some students, like in a class of one particular class. There it has really worked, but in another class I have found that it is a problem. Okay, you need to be very careful there, but you need to engage everyone. You tell the students, I will ask you, like, ask for volunteers. If I don't get anyone, I will call up the names. Okay, then it works. That is possible. Yeah. Any other?
There's one question from Neetu Dogra. After COVID situation, what will be the first step to change psychology of students
Yeah,
from
Nita
online to
Dogra, I read, okay, after COVID situation, what will be the first step to change the psychology of students from online to offline? Okay, here it is going to be a major problem, like, because recently I read a research paper there, the de-addiction. Earlier the word de-addiction was used for people who are alcoholics. Okay, if anyone is an alcoholic, they are sent to de-addiction center. Now de-addiction is used for people who are addicted to the internet. For 9 months or 10 months, they have been, like, just they have been at home. They haven't gone, they haven't stepped out of the home. Now initially they will have that problem. Initially they will have the problem. That's why it takes time. It takes time. Even now we say the screen time for children should not be for more than 3 hours. In Norway, Sweden, and Finland, especially in Finland, they say the screen time for young learners is maximum 3 hours. In India, we don't follow that. In India, we don't follow that. But later, we need to no, we need to help them come out of it. But it is very difficult. It's very difficult. And how we are going to help students come out of it, like, by giving them more physical activities. And in Finland, they even say, like, don't encourage children to search certain things on Google, because it is going to have a negative impact. Okay, because they are not mature enough. The maximum screen time for our children also, up to age, it should be 3 hours. Helping them come out of this, it takes time. We need to counsel them. That's why the teachers need to talk to students, find out whether they have any psychological problems, and deal it with compassion. Teachers need to be compassionate. That's the only answer that I can give. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Neetu. That's a good question. From
One more
online to offline, it will be very difficult, but it's okay. Yeah. One more.
one teacher is asking, sir, when we ask the questions, parents are answering or helping the children. What can be done?
I didn't get you. Who?
When
What?
we ask the questions, when teachers are asking the questions, parents are answering or helping the children. So what can be done?
See, this is a big challenge. Like once I attended a session, like the teacher who was teaching, the child's parent was also there. Okay, parents answering the question doesn't really help the child. Okay, parents need to be motivated. That's why established rules. We need to have a set of rules for the parents also. We need to tell them, you be with the children, you be with the child when the online class is going on. But when the question is asked, let the child answer. This is how we test whether the child has really learned, understood the concept. And teachers, as teachers, we need to uh, inform the parents also. In one school, the school in Chennai, they called all the parents and told them about online teaching, how the online teaching will be, what their role is, and how they should behave when the online classes are going on. Okay, this is one way of educating the parents. I don't know whether Zion group of schools has done it, but we need to give clear instructions to parents also. All parents want their children to learn properly, and parents need to cooperate. Yes, it depends on the teacher. Teachers can contact the parents and also do that one. Meena Hindi says Hindi. Okay, Hindi is the subject that she teaches. Sometimes even in physical classes, we are facing that if we behave such in polite way, students don't realize their mistake. So what do you mean? Should we not behave politely? That's what you suggest, Meena? Just this is what she has written. I don't understand what she means. Many times, Muttamil social senses. Many times, parents help the kids with answers. I have answered the query question. Parents are thinking that they what should answer first and correctly, so they are helping the children. Okay, some parents help, some parents motivate the children to answer also. They help. Some children are very reluctant or shy. They help their children come out of shyness. But children, they should parents should allow their children to speak. That's very important. Really, this year online classes help the children to learn the concepts very clearly, because when they promote it for next class, is there any impact of deficit of understanding concept? Okay, fine. Michael Jackson. Very good. Now the time is 11:30. And Saranjit, are we going to end the session? I thank all the teachers for their active participation. It was quite an interactive, though I couldn't see the faces, but I could read the comments given by them. Very interactive in that way. Okay, had there been a group of 30 teachers, I would have seen all of them like addressed, I just allowed them to speak. Okay, that would have been more effective, but unfortunately that we have a bigger group. This is the only possible way. Okay, Saranjit, are we going to end the session?
Yes, sir. I think we have covered all the questions, mostly important
Okay,
ones. So
okay,
I think we can end the session now. Thank you
okay,
so much, sir, for this very wonderful session.
okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you so much, teachers, for joining. Please fill the attendance form for the e-certificates.